The phone screen glowed in the dark, a cold knife slicing through the quiet of my apartment. Her post stared back at me. Why do broke men even try dating? Faced with tears of joy, the laughing emoji felt like a punch, each pixel a bruise blooming on my heart. I'd told her just hours ago, voice cracking over the phone, that I couldn't afford the weekend getaway she'd been planning. My bank account was a graveyard of overdraft fees, and I'd spent the last of my cash on her birthday dinner last month. I thought she'd understood. I thought the silence after my confession was her processing, maybe even empathizing. But now this. My thumb hovered over the screen, trembling, unsure whether to call her or keep scrolling through the comments. Strangers piling on, their words a chorus of mockery. The apartment was too still, the kind of quiet that amplifies your own heartbeat. I sat on the edge of my sagging couch, the fabric rough under my palms, and stared at the chipped coffee table where we'd shared takeout just last week. Her laughter had filled the room then, her head tilted back, her dark hair spilling over her shoulders. I'd thought it was love, that easy way she leaned into me, her fingers brushing mine as we fought over the last dumpling. But the post burned in my mind, rewriting every memory. Had she been laughing at me even then? I scrolled back to our texts, searching for clues. Her last message, sent at 6:43 p.m., was a heart emoji in response to my apology about the trip. No words, just that single red pulse. I'd taken it as forgiveness, maybe even affection. Now it felt like a lie, a placeholder to keep me from suspecting. My chest tightened, a slow crush of ribs and breath. I wanted to call her to demand answers, but my fingers froze. What if she laughed again? What if her voice, so warm and teasing yesterday, turned sharp and cold? The night dragged on, and I didn't sleep. The phone stayed in my hand, its light a cruel companion. I kept refreshing her post, watching the likes climb. 47, 63, 89. Each one felt like a stranger witnessing my humiliation. I imagined her typing it, her manicured nails tapping the screen. Her lips curled in that half-smile she wore when she thought she was clever. I'd seen that smile before, hadn't I? Like when she teased me about my beat-up sneakers or the way I fumbled with chopsticks. I'd laughed it off then, called it playful. But now those moments felt like warnings I'd ignored. By morning my eyes burned, and the apartment smelled of stale coffee. I hadn't moved from the couch. The post was still there, now with 112 likes and a string of comments. Girl, dump him. And broke guys always think they're enough clown face. I wanted to believe she'd posted it impulsively, that she'd regret it when she saw my name missing from her notifications. But deep down I knew better. She'd always cared about appearances. Her Instagram was a curated gallery of brunches, vacations, and outfits I could never afford. I'd thought I was enough to balance that my love, my effort, could outweigh my empty wallet. But maybe I'd been wrong from the start. I finally texted her at 9:17 a.m. Saw your post. We need to talk. My hands shook as I hit send, the words too small for the weight they carried. I waited, staring at the screen, the 3 dots of her typing appearing and vanishing like a heartbeat. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. The silence was louder than any response could have been. When she finally called, the ringtone jolted me, a sharp trill cutting through the haze. I answered, my voice hoarse. Hey, she said, her tone light, almost casual. You okay? You sound weird. I gripped the phone, my knuckles whitening. Your post. About broke men. That's about me, isn't it? She laughed, a quick, nervous sound like a glass tipping over but not yet breaking. Oh, come on, it's just a joke. You're taking it way too seriously. Am I? My voice cracked, betraying the anger I'd tried to bury. I told you yesterday I couldn't afford the trip. And then you post that. With a laughing emoji. The line went quiet, the kind of pause that feels like a confession. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, but not apologetic. Look, I was just venting. It's not a big deal. You know how social media is. Do I? Asked, my throat tight. Because it feels like you're telling the world I'm a joke. Like I'm not enough for you. That's not what I meant, she said, but there was an edge to her words, a defensiveness that hadn't been there before. I want things, nice things, experiences. And sometimes it's frustrating when you can't. When I can't keep up, I finished for her, the truth slicing through me. You've been thinking this for a while, haven't you? Another pause, longer this time. I could hear her breathing, shallow and uneven, like she was weighing what to say next. I don't know, she admitted finally. Maybe. I didn't mean to hurt you. But she had. And the worst part was I could hear the truth in her voice. Not cruelty but carelessness. She hadn't meant to hurt me because she hadn't thought about me at all. I was just collateral damage in her pursuit of something shinier. The call ended with vague promises to talk later, but I knew we wouldn't. I sat there, the phone now dark in my hand, and felt the weight of every moment we'd shared. The late-night talks, the way she'd curl into me on cold mornings, the promises we'd whispered about a future together. Had any of it been real? Or had I been a placeholder? Someone to fill the space until she found what she really wanted? I opened her post one last time. The likes had climbed to 134. I could delete her number, block her, try to erase her from my life. But that post would live forever. A digital scar etched into the internet. I thought about replying, about exposing her cruelty in the comments. But what would that prove? Instead, I set the phone down and stood, my legs unsteady. The apartment felt smaller, the walls closer, as if the space itself was grieving with me. I walked to the window, the morning light harsh against my tired eyes. Outside, the world moved on. Cars humming, people rushing to jobs and lives I couldn't afford. I'd loved her with everything I had, but it wasn't enough. And maybe that was the real betrayal. Not her post, not her words, but the quiet realization that I'd betrayed myself by believing I could be. The ache in my chest didn't fade, but it shifted, hardening into something else. Resolve, maybe, or the first flicker of acceptance. I didn't need her validation, her likes, her curated life. I needed to find my own worth, somewhere beyond the screen's cruel glow. And as I turned away from the window, I knew that journey had already begun.